everyone, as many of you may know, I have a rare genetic disorder called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And if you don't know, Ehlers-Danlos can cause a lot of other conditions on top of the original condition due to the weak connective tissue that makes up the entire body. The disorders may be rare, but it's not rare to have multiple disorders, if that makes sense. People with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome are more likely to have conditions such as postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, mast cell activation syndrome, autism, vocal cord dysfunction, chronic regional pain syndrome, gastroparesis, and I'm sure there's so many more. I just really don't feel like listing them right now. Sometimes the comorbid conditions are more dangerous than the condition itself. For me, gastroparesis and mast cell activation syndrome have nearly killed me way more than Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Today, I'm focusing on gastroparesis, though. Gastroparesis is defined as slow gastric emptying or delayed gastric emptying. Food sits in your stomach too long, not due to an obstruction, but the muscles within your stomach are too tight, so they can't push food through into your intestines. It can cause a variety of issues like bloating, weight loss, weight gain, nausea, vomiting, and so many others. I've tried every medication for gastroparesis and am running out of options. I've been hospitalized on and off again because of it. And I'm really scared that by making this video, I'm going to jinx it. But I'm getting surgery for gastroparesis. It might make it go into remission, and I'm really hoping it does. Okay. It's always saved for the last option, though, because of risk and insurance. To say goodbye to gastroparesis, hopefully, keyword hopefully, please don't jinx it, knock on wood. I'm going to tell you my diagnosis story and my dream food I'd love to eat if I was cured magically. I've had stomach issues since the moment I was born. My mom tried to get me out, but I was diagnosed with colic and a bunch of other random stuff before I could even speak. I had my first colonoscopy and endoscopy when I was 11 or so, maybe even younger. My doctors in my state tried to test me for everything and put me on every diet. Lactose-free, gluten-free, low histamine, FODMAP, you name it. Nothing worked. It wasn't until I was 16 and at risk for a feeding tube that my condition was figured out. It wasn't thanks to my gastroenterologist, actually. My primary doctor retired and I got a fresh, brand new one. She instantly saw my joints and was like, "You ever heard of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome?" And me and my mom were like, "No, we're from the middle of nowhere, Maine, and we're not doctors." That night, my mom and I spent the entire night researching Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, because we've never heard of it before. All of a sudden, my entire life made sense. Everything was clicking. It felt like putting glasses on for the first time and finally seeing clearly. We learned about gastroparesis in our search about Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. My mom brought up gastroparesis to my gastroenterologist at the time. My gastro said it was highly unlikely I'd ever have it, so it's not even worth testing. I'm lucky to have a mom who advocates for me. My doctor may have only been doing the test just to prove my mom wrong, but it was worth it. The test for gastroparesis is eating food that consists of radioactive material, either put in eggs or oatmeal. You eat the food and a technician periodically scans your stomach to see how far the radioactive tracer has traveled. This is called gastric emptying study, but also known by the acronym GES. I specifically remember the number because 16-year-old immature me thought it was really funny that it was 69%, but that's actually a really, really horrifying bad number. That means 69% of the food remained in my stomach after 4 hours. The amount that should remain in your stomach is less than 10%. I had very severe gastroparesis, but my doctor at the time refused to call it that. It was evident she was mad that my mom with no medical experience or no degree was right, and she wasn't. So what my gastro doctor always called it was delayed gastric emptying. She refused to say the word gastroparesis. I was put on cyproheptadine and started to finally gain weight for the first time in my life. I still had no appetite and refused to eat at school so I wouldn't vomit. I often vomited and had special accommodations to leave the classroom without asking. There was a lot of rumors that I had bulimia. It was bad. I got bullied a lot in school, so I stopped going to the cafeteria because people used to throw apples at my head. Wow, this is depressing. I usually just hid in the school basement during lunch and read. There was really too much going on in my life at the time, so I really wasn't taking care of my health like I should have been. Probably the dumbest thing I did around this period was fixing my own dislocated ankle, which caused a snowball of events which was made worse by my doctor not aware of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome misdiagnosing me. This happened in a hospital, so it wasn't my primary care who knew me. So here I am, 16, now with permanent nerve damage in my foot called complex regional pain syndrome and severe gastroparesis. Then summer rolls around and you think, Mandy's a smart girl. She would dedicate her entire summer to physical therapy like she was told to do. She's smart. Wrong! I got an intense summer job as a tutor and chaperone for field trips. I was walking 6 miles on crutches. My physical therapist was shocked I wasn't in a wheelchair, given the dark purple hue of my foot. My mom said it looked like a foot that didn't belong to me, like it was a zombie foot, but the physical therapist said she really needed to not call it that because it would be bad for my treatment. It really wasn't my biggest problem at the time, even though the intense pain was insane. I was at my lowest weight yet, and I couldn't even hold down my meds. I was throwing up my medications 3 hours later, completely undigested. I worked myself right back into the hospital. I got put on erythromycin, a very common antibiotic, but less commonly used for gastroparesis. It's not a permanent solution because it's an antibiotic, but it worked for a year. I went back to stressing out my physical therapist and working when he told me not to. Dun dun dun! 2020. A scary, scary year for many, many reasons. It was also my senior year of high school when I had an insane amount of family drama and stayed with my sister for a bit. Gastroparesis gets worse when stress is around. As much as I hate to say it, the doctors are right. There is a brain-gut connection. I just hate when they say that because it feels like they're blaming it on anxiety. But they're right sometimes, okay? My medication stops working entirely. I go on a liquid diet and all my liquid medication. Then my gastro doctor says she still thinks I don't have gastroparesis and diagnoses me with rumination, a swallowing disorder. And there's a test for it, which she refuses to do, because she knows I have it. I do the traumatic test at another hospital. Guess what? I didn't have rumination syndrome, and the test was so traumatic for no reason. They shove a tube down your nose all the way in your stomach. Not fun test. Hated it. Don't recommend it. But that's besides the point. COVID-19 struck. My senior year was now entirely online. Most people hated it, but I actually had time to take care of my health for first time in my life. And wasn't facing constant bullying anymore. The only thing I missed was going to my technical center every other day to do digital graphics instead of my core classes. My gastroenterologist completely ghosted me at this time, but I had already been to Boston Children's for genetics who diagnosed me officially with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, hypermobility type, and was already put in a research study for people with Ehlers-Danlos. That's how I transferred my care to Boston. Plus, I was supposed to attend Massachusetts College of Art and Design once I graduated. Since it was 2020, all of my appointments were done virtually, and I was switched to a medication called Reglan. Then I gained the weight back and was healthy-ish again. I did, however, take a gap year because of COVID, and the risks were effed up with my effed up nervous system, so didn't want to risk it. I worked on creating a small business during my gap year that is still running. I did that for the entire year up until 2021 summer. I was doing mass art pre-college, a 4-week intensive, and was working at a hotel as well with the help of vocational rehab. Vocational rehab is a government organization that helps disabled people find work and receive accommodations while doing so. Reglan had slowly been wearing off that winter even though I was at the max dose. I had run out of medication options in the USA. Boston Children's said I had another option, but the medication was banned in America. I would have to get it from a Canadian pharmacy that ships to the USA. But that wasn't such a big problem because I'm in Maine, so it wasn't a far distance. Don't worry, they reassured me the side effects are very rare. There is a slight chance it can cause arrhythmias, a very dangerous side effect, hence why it's banned in the US. However, for me, the positives outweighed the risk because I was at risk of a feeding tube again. To take it, I would have to get an EKG even more often than I already do because of EDS. Anyway, I started working, going to summer art school, and new medication all at once. Again, not my greatest idea to start every new thing all at once. Don't hold it against me, I was 18. I completely stopped eating. I felt no hunger whatsoever. I still tried to take my new medication, but I would always throw them up just a couple hours later. I was also on a medication called gabapentin for my complex regional pain syndrome in my ankle. Under no circumstances you can randomly stop taking this medication. Plus you have to build up the dose very slowly as well as taper down very slowly. I wasn't able to do this because of my gastroparesis, and no one told me you could get withdrawals from this. So I had no idea that was my issue. I was now facing gastroparesis and withdrawals, which led to my longest hospitalization and why my gap year turned into me not going at all. I refused to take myself to the hospital. I didn't sleep, I didn't eat, and stayed in my room or in the bathroom. I smelled like vomit and sweat. It was a really traumatic time in my life. I try not to think about it. I think it was traumatic for my whole family. My mom took apart my bedding while I was in the bathroom, so I couldn't go back to bed. She forced me to eat applesauce and bathe. It was like I was in a fugue state, as my mom braided my hair and forced me to the hospital, even though I begged to just lay down. It must have been really bad. The moment they saw me in the local hospital, they put me in a wheelchair and I got a private room. My body was breaking down muscle to replace the food it wasn't receiving. It's hard to remember what they gave me. It was some sort of sugar water in an IV to stop the breakdown of my muscles. Girl, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but with how much I'm in the hospital, I should be one. Anyway, they tried every single anti-nausea medicine. None worked, so they eventually just knocked me out with an antipsychotic named Haldol. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really remember what happened after. My mom took me to Boston for my gastroenterologist that is there. I was hospitalized for a week and survived off of IV fluids until I could receive Botox, a newer treatment for gastroparesis where Botox is given endoscopically into the pyloric sphincter to loosen it. The pyloric sphincter is the connection of the stomach into the intestine. It worked amazingly for me. I was eating solids the next day. Also, shout out to Motegrity, another magical medication that helped me. It's specifically for chronic constipation and gastroparesis. It is still part of my treatment plan today. I get Botox in my pylorus every 6 months, take baclofen every 3 times a day to relax the muscle. I take Motegrity once a day to induce movement of the stomach, and Linzess to induce bowel movements. Gross, I know, but it's my life. The thing is, Botox is not a permanent solution. It lasts 3 to 6 months. You need to have it repeatedly done. My body is a medical mystery that metabolizes things weirdly. It's so quick, it builds up tolerance insanely. It's a risk for anyone to go under anesthesia. I do it multiple times a year to prevent the gastroparesis from getting worse. It's even riskier, though, when you have gastroparesis, so it's ironic that that's what I'm doing it for. Because no matter how long you fast, food could still be left inside your stomach. The last time I had it, it was pretty scary. I had to be intubated when I was detubed, I coded. It wasn't for long. I was just choking on my own vomit. They had to hose it out of my throat with one of those dentist sucker things. I'm not a doctor again. I don't know the technical term. I'm sure it's not a dentist sucker thing. So you see why it's not a permanent solution. I had my Botox around 5 months ago, and it stopped working 3 months ago. I'm lucky to have doctors who care now and plan in advance for these scenarios. So this month, since the Botox has stopped working for me, I am getting a G-Boem! And I'm terrified. I'm just really worried that it won't work, but I'm told that if the Botox worked in the beginning, it means I'm a great recipient for the G-Poem. Y'all are probably like, what the heck is a G-Poem? Don't worry, most doctors don't even know what it is because it's very performed rarely by a very select few doctors. A G-Poem is an acronym for gastric peroral endoscopic pylorotomy. Didn't say that right. Definitely not. That's probably why it's an acronym, G-Poem. It is a minimally invasive procedure. It won't even leave me with a scar, unlike my minimally invasive appy. First they knock me out, then insert an endoscope through my mouth. The flexible camera tube will go all the way into my stomach to cut the muscle near the sphincter. Boom! Food can pass easily through because the muscle doesn't need to do the job since the hole connecting my stomach to my intestine is now so large. The risk that comes with this is infection and a thing called dumping syndrome, which means the food passes too quickly. I'm told I don't need to worry about this though because my gastroparesis is so severe it probably wouldn't happen to me. I need to stay the night in the hospital for a day and have some extra tests the next day. I have to do a swallow study to see if everything passes through my stomach correctly. I live in Maine, so my doctor recommended I stay in Boston for a couple days after, in case I need him. The game plan is a liquid diet 1 day before the surgery, antibiotics for a week after the surgery, 2 days of clear liquid after surgery, then 2 days liquids, and finally 2 days of soft food. This part doesn't really bother me that much since I can't really remember a time I ever ate food like a normal person. I've basically been liquid for a long time. I will, however, struggle to not have coffee because it's not a clear liquid. So 2 days, no coffee. Excuse me? Don't tell them that's an issue for me, though, because I'm not supposed to have caffeine. But anyway, I'm willing to do this because I can't remember a time that I've had a normal stomach. A day without vomiting sounds like an unbelievable miracle to me. There's a 70 to 80% success rate, and it can last 3 years or more. Instead of being scared about this surgery, I want to be excited. So I'm going to think about those 3 years. What would I eat if I could eat anything? Most treatments don't last for me, so I have to make sure to make the most out of these 3 years, if it does work for me. Which it will, because I'm manifesting it. Some of my favorite foods are fruit, hence the whole strawberry aesthetic of my channel. Gastroparesis does not mix with any raw food, though, because it's hard to digest, especially food high in fiber, which means fruits, vegetables, beans, and nuts have been a no-go for me for such a long time. I can't wait to eat the fruits I like strawberries, grapes, blueberries, apples, etc. Fruit with skin was always the hardest for me, so it would be the dream. I love blueberries, and I can't remember the last time I ate an apple. It just sounds so exciting. I mean, to a normal person, that probably sounds sad, but, it's exciting to me, okay? An even bigger dream of mine would be to attend the Strawberry Festival in Japan. Traveling that far away has never been a possibility for me with how many doctors who are constantly monitoring my health. I still have many other conditions, but each doctor tells me they can't help me until my gastroparesis is under control. The major dehydration and extreme vitamin deficiency would make anyone ill, but with my other conditions on top of it, I'm more at risk for seizures, anaphylaxis, fainting, heart stuff, and concussions. I'll always have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, but if one condition goes into remission, it will make it way easier to manage my Ehlers-Danlos and rebuild my muscles. If I could manage to get it under control just for a week for the best and biggest strawberries in Japan during the festival, well, I could die happy. Sorry if that was sappy. If you don't have gastroparesis, I guess it would be impossible to understand. Food is what connects us all. Everyone has to eat. Each culture has its own food and recipes. It's what connects us to our ancestors. For example, my grandmother is Italian. Each person at the table must have a small bowl of salad to eat after each main course to cleanse the palate and aid in digestion due to simple oil dressing. It's never a starter because vinegar clashes with wine. I knew that before I could even drink. I wonder if it's a dishonor to my Italian ancestors. I've never tried wine and I'm in my 20s. But that's besides the point. Everyone saves their salad for the end of the meal. I could no longer do this. I could not eat salad, period. And trust me, I've tried. I would end up vomiting undigested vegetables for days because it was impossible for my stomach to process the leafy greens. It wouldn't go through. I get so angry about it, I want to punch a wall. It's so hard to sit with your family and enjoy a meal looking at their plates full of colorful vegetables and vibrant seasoning. Then I look at my plate that's just dull. I'm lucky if I can tolerate mashed potatoes or rice. Most of the time, it's a meal shake that I can't even finish. It's depressing, honestly. I want to cry talking about it. My dad tries to make it fun by giving the meal shakes unique names like the HMS. It stood for Healthy Meal Shake. I will admit he does frequently make me laugh. Anyway, the point is, food is a group uniting an activity, a family together. It's what most friends, family, and dates want to do on a night out. Dinner and drinks, coffee and breakfast. This is terrifying if you have gastroparesis. Always calculating the nearest toilet, trash can, or bush. Not only do you lose food, you lose your connection to people. I can't wait for a time where I can go out to a restaurant and go to the bathroom without someone asking me if I just threw up. I can't wait for vermicelli and tomato sauce. At one point in my life, we would have it once a week, or as little me used to call it, spaghetti nights. Perfect for the cold Maine winter nights after sledding all day and being covered with bruises because I had Ehlers-Danlos and wasn't diagnosed yet. Then there is asparagus, my favorite vegetable. I love it grilled with butter and salt. I'm drooling just at the thought of it. I haven't had it in years. It's unfortunately very stringy and has caused me to choke hours later. You gotta really be careful with what you eat with gastroparesis because it can be a total choking hazard later if it comes up undigested. A G poem may just be another Band-Aid, but this Band-Aid lasts years instead of just a couple months. So I just know I have to make the most of it. I will get to go to Japan and go to that strawberry festival somehow. I will make it happen. Well, I am there, of course. I will have to try the ramen, another delicacy I have so dearly missed. Long noodles are another choking hazard hours later, so I've been avoiding them. I don't even care if I get fat. It would be worth it to finally enjoy food, a thing I've never really done in my life. In reality, I just want to try everything and never see a bottle of Ensure or an Orgain meal shake again. I really hope I'm in that 70 to 80% people of a G poem that it works for. So I'm going to ask you to do one thing for me. And instead of asking you to like or subscribe, I'm going to ask you to just hope and manifest this works for me. And hopefully together we'll make it come true. So most importantly, everyone, stay weird and wish me luck. Bye.